do Native Americans feel like they're native to this land?
Because they are.
You're not native to this land. If you was native to this land, then Ancestry.gov wouldn't show that your ancestors are from Siberia. Matter of fact, you can Google the fucking shit.
Bruh.
Y'all originate from Siberia. Y'all don't come here, okay?
Okay.
Y'all embarrass us every single time y'all. Now pay close attention to the next part, because it's very important. If Native Americans take a DNA test, then they should have DNA cousin matches who are full-blood East Asian or Siberian, just like Black Americans have full-blood African cousin matches, right? Yes or no? The answer is no. The timeline makes the results completely different. Pay attention to it. Considering the fact that Black Americans have been here for 400 years or less, then we will have DNA matches that are 100% African in our DNA match list. But Native Americans won't. Pay attention to this next part, because 400 years, Black Americans, we have been here, our DNA still matches those Africans over there in Africa today. So we will share those DNA cousins because we have longer S&Ps. Now, when it comes out to Native Americans, cousins from 15,000 years ago, pay attention. The segments are so fragmented by time that they look like noise to the computer. Conclusion, the Native Americans will not see a person from Siberia in their relative list, their DNA match list. They just won't. Why? Because they've been here for way too long for that to happen. But Black Americans, we can see full-blood Africans in our DNA match list who are currently living in Africa today.
And then Africans keep wanting us to believe that we're African and that we're native to Africa because they want our reparations.
Oh man, y'all FBAs sure do love the vision. Not y'all over here gatekeeping opportunity for a better life.
Why do y'all think Native Americans have what they have?
It should be because it's their land. It should be.
Anyways, I added proof. I also want y'all to go look up scientific evidence that the first people to ever live was Black people.
You know, people who make comments like that have very surface level thinking. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. They are us. We are them. It's just that they had mutated in certain types of ways due to the climates that they were in, adaptation, and mutations. It's simple. Like, quit saying that Black people were here first. Everybody's a Homo sapien.
People ask, oh, why does it matter? Because everything was stripped from us. Pre-colonization will also show you when they changed around the map because civilization started in America.
You told us to Google if the Native Americans came from Siberia, but I guarantee that you will not say to Google what you just said.
Not in Africa.
Should we Google that too?
And remember, pre-colonization was when Black colonies existed and we owned everything. And yet they took all of our information from us.
Democracy in America, published in 1835. From the mouth of the St. Lawrence to the delta of the Mississippi and from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean, these savages, sad to say that's what he wrote, possess certain points of resemblance which bore witness of their common origin. But at the same time, they differed from all other known races of men. They were neither white, like the Europeans, nor yellow, like the Asiatics, nor black, like the Negroes. Their skin was reddish-brown, their hair long and shiny, their lips thin, and their cheekbones very prominent. This is one of the later sources that I have, but trust me, there's more.
Black Americans are the real natives of the United States and also South America. And the red natives, they don't want to talk about it. I have seen radio silence from the red Siberian natives. You want to know why? Because the Muskogee tribe, after they lost in court to the black Muskogee, when they tried to kick out the black Muskogee, they had to admit there were black natives. Even the Cherokee are saying it, and now the Choctaw are saying it. Wait a minute, you told me there were no black natives. You said I was a pretendian. I was a long-lost African. That's what you told me. You said this shit. I heard this shit. I responded to this shit. I've had video sticks with that same bullshit message. And now all of a sudden we see that, whoa, even over in England, even over in freaking Europe, all the people over there were black. That was a perplexing discovery just made as of last month, and nobody wants to talk about it. Why? Motherfucker, why? Why don't you want to talk about the study that was done by the University of California at Riverside in conjunction with the University of Oregon with professors like Ed Booth, who discovered that, yeah, there were black people in South America. Even the Mayan language is really kind of African. Even your gods and goddesses are kind of African. You go over to Brazil, samba, go listen to samba and go listen to freaking African music. It sounds almost virtually identical. Even you go over to Mexico with the freaking merengue drums. Come on now. Pinto beans are not Mexican. Okay? Even your so-called Spanish rice is just jollof with freaking tomatoes in it. That's all it is. Yes, we've been here. We've been here for a long time. You go look up a picture of the Mission Indians of California and you tell me that's not a black tribe. Them black folks, we've been here for the longest time and it makes the most sense. What the hell do you think out of Africa means? Yes, everybody, if you trace your lineage, it goes back to Africa. That don't make you African. You don't go over to fucking Jamaica and be like, well, you know what? Hello, my fellow African. They be like, Bumba and smack the fuck out of you, and you would goddamn deserve it. No, we had our own ethnogenesis right here. Right here. There's a reason why the freaking Australian indigenous people look so black. There's a reason why so many people in freaking India look black. There's a reason why you've always found black people in freaking Egypt, South America, North America. Even Europe, as you're seeing, with all these white people, they all started off as Negroes, and yet for some reason the red natives here thought they were the fucking exception. No, you only started this bullshit in the late 70s, in the early 80s, because you got those first casinos, and you wanted to cut us out of all that goddamn money, like the bastards you are. That's the truth. We are the real fucking natives, and you already said it.
The problem is, why do you care about Black Americans saying they are the native of America? Why do you care so much? And if you think your research is absolutely correct, that Black Americans are not the native of America, why not keep it to yourself? You know, the problem with a lot of immigrants is that they want to say something and don't have Black Americans encounter that thing they're saying. You know, the moment Black Americans start talking, that is when they will start with the phrase of Black Americans are troublesome. But when they are literally saying every single thing that they are saying, they will not remember how troublesome they are. So one thing you should expect as a human being is we are all in these internet spaces and we have chosen not to keep quiet. So if you want us to give you a certain answer, you are literally going to be getting that certain answer. And the moment you start getting the F around and find out, you do not get angry. You enjoy and move. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. With that being said, let's dive right into the other part of this video. I'll be back with commentaries.
Hey, yo, what's good, y'all? So, I just wanted to come on here and talk about something right quick because I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this subject in the comment section of some of my videos. But the topic of today's video is whether or not African Americans are African. So, if some of y'all may notice on social media, it's kind of becoming like, I guess you could say a trend now. We're seeing a lot of Black Americans, African American people get on social media and say that African Americans are not African. Like, we are fully indigenous peoples. Like, we are fully indigenous to the Americas. One thing we got to understand is that African Americans as an ethnicity, our ancestry traces back in this country at least 400 years. And so, as I stated in one of my previous videos, you cannot expect Africans to be on this territory for 400 years and not have any intermingling with Native Americans at all. Like, it's just not realistic to think that. With that being said, after 400 years of American or European colonialism in North America, after 400 years of, African people being on this land and 400 years of indigenous Americans having their land taken from them. I can tell you right now that most black Americans are at least part Native American. Most of us African Americans are Afro-Indigenous, and everybody is not lying about their family history. A lot of us come from families where our elders have always claimed to be part Native. And, people be like, everybody claim to be Cherokee. There's a lot of people who are of Cherokee descent, but all of us don't claim to be Cherokee. For example, in my family, we do have some Cherokee in my family on my dad's side, but on my mom's side of the family, they are of Choctaw and Tula descent. On my mother's side of the family, my granddaddy's side is Creole, and they have Choctaw ancestry, but they can't tell you the last full-blood Choctaw person in their family. But they also can't tell you the last full-blood white person in their family, and they can't tell you the last full-blood African person in their family either. They just know that they are Choctaw, white, and African. On my grandmother's side, my grandmother's great-granddaddy was from the Tula tribe. And they know that because they had a great aunt named Tula May. My great-great-grandmother had a sister named Tula May, and her first name Tula came from the tribe that her daddy came from. So my grandmother and my great-aunt, they know that their great-granddaddy was from the Tula tribe. Some of us African Americans know that we have Native blood in us, and we claim our Native blood just as much as we claim the African blood, no matter what the proportionate ratio is. And then not to mention, a large portion of the indigenous population was wiped out by Europeans. And so the simple fact that there were Native Americans who were still alive and practicing their culture when my grandmother's elders were coming up, there was still indigenous people in this country who were practicing their culture. There's a lot of resistance in that. For me personally, the fact that I know that I am of African and indigenous American descent after hundreds of years of colonization shows that there was a lot of resistance. There was a lot of pushback from both sides. Now, another reason why you see African Americans going so hard about claiming to be of Native American descent is because many of our elders had elders who petitioned to be listed on the Dawes Rolls. Back in the day when America was giving reparations to indigenous Americans, they came up with this thing called the Dawes Rolls. And a lot of people were going and having their names listed on the Dawes Rolls that they were descendants of Indian Americans or American Indians. And there were a lot of white people who paid to have their names listed on the Dawes Rolls. And there were a lot of black people who were denied because they had African blood, and America did not want to give reparations to African Americans. And so with that being said, many of our elders had mixed race elders that were left off of the Dawes Rolls because of their African blood, even though they also legitimately had indigenous ancestry. And so you started to see it became a habit even back in the day when our grandparents were growing up for people to try to gaslight black people when they would claim to have Native American ancestry. And many of our elders took that serious, because imagine you tell somebody that your family is Cherokee or your family is Choctaw, and folks are telling you that you're not, but like your grandma is a whole Choctaw woman. It's almost like they were trying to force African Americans to erase the indigenous ancestry from our own family's oral histories. Like, a lot of people don't know their family history because their elders are scared of being gaslit when they talk about it. And so with that being said, yes, a lot of us are legitimately of Native American descent also. And many of us claim all of it. We claim our African blood and our Native blood because those are still our ancestors. Now, you will see a lot of African Americans arguing about African Americans are not African at all, that we are fully Native American. Now, I don't know what the fuck that's all about, because I know that I have ancestry in Africa, but me personally, I also do not like to tell other black people what they are. If you say that your grandparents told you that you have no African blood, then who am I to tell you that you do? Even if we do look alike, who am I to tell you that you do? If you say that your family history has no ancestry in Africa at all, that you are fully indigenous, then who am I to tell you that you are not? I know some black people who say that they are Hebrew Israelites. And it's just like, if that's what your grandmama told you, then I guess I can't tell you what you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I know my family history, so I'll go by what my elders tell me. I don't go by anything else. And, so I assume everybody else is doing the same thing. So if you tell me that you are something, I'm not going to tell you that you're not that. If you say, because the reality of it is that there are some Native American tribes that were reclassified as black. Some people do come from families where they have no African blood and they've always just been called African American, but their family is fully Native. I feel like that's also possible. But I also feel like black people who feel like they are not African understand that, like, if that's what applies to you and your family history, That's what applies to you and your family history. Like, you can't tell the rest of us what we are. We actually talk to our elders, and so we know what we are. And I feel like, just like I'm not going to tell you what you are, you should not be trying to tell me what I am. If you feel like you have no African blood, then let that apply to you and your family. Why do you have to go and spread that to other Black Americans who, for them, that is possibly not the case? But yeah, that's just my little take on that subject. I just been seeing people commenting that a lot in my comment section on my videos, so I just thought I'll get on here and give my perspective on it.
All right, so I got a question. To all the Black Americans who say they're indigenous to America and they don't have or not descendant from Africa. So the argument is that Black Americans, some are saying that they're indigenous to America and that their blood is basically indigenous to the land of the United States. And that a lot of them are not claiming to have African descent, African ethnicity. Why y'all think y'all not Black? Like, why do y'all think that you don't have African ancestry? Just wondering why. So the whole argument, if I'm correct, is that the dark-skinned Native Americans that were indigenous to America were handpicked and hand-selected to be slaves. Is that what y'all are saying? That the white man went out and found the darkest Native Americans back in the day and decided only the dark Native Americans would become slaves. And they overlooked all the other Native Americans that were lighter skinned because they were just too good to be a slave. Is that what y'all are saying? So all the bright-skinned Native Americans or white-skinned Native Americans weren't selected to be slaves. Only the dark-skinned Native American people of this land were selected to be slaves. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. And I'm speaking from someone from Oklahoma, born and raised in Oklahoma. I live in Dallas now, but my mother is from Oklahoma. My grandmother's from Oklahoma. My blood is African American and Native American. I am a member of the Choctaw tribe. Hold on, let me show you. I don't understand the argument. Like, why do y'all feel that y'all don't have African ancestry? Even I know that, yes, my mom is Native American and Black, and my dad is Black and Native American as well, but I only claim the Native American from my mother's side because that's the side that was researched. However, neither my mom or my dad feel like they were indigenous to America. Neither my mother or father feel like they don't feel like they're not descendants from Africa. They know that our blood is African descent. Even there are people in Africa who have the history of which countries and which ports that the slaves were taken from by the Europeans. That's even written down in history. So for 90% of Black Americans, so this large group of Black Americans claiming that they're all of Native American descent is kind of hard to believe, being that Native Americans as a whole are pretty much extinct. A pure blood or 100% Native American people are almost extinct. There are hardly no 100% pure blood Native Americans left. So I don't understand why us Black Americans feel like we're too good for our African ethnicity. We feel like we're too good to say that we have African ethnicity. Instead, we say, well, we were here before and we're just Native American, but, it's been a long time. Look, this is me. Let me cover up my name. This comes from the Choctaw tribe. This is my card. Let me see if I can find my membership card. But while I'm finding my membership card, which is actually right here. Oh no, that's not it. But anyway, I just don't understand like what that argument is. You know what I'm saying? Like, even I know I'm proud to have an African descent. I'm proud to have African blood, and I'm proud to have Native American blood. That mixture is fire. Baby, that mixture is cold-blooded when I tell you. Okay, this is it. Here's my Choctaw Indian card. Yes, I had to cover up some of my details. But this is it. I have to make sure I don't show all my details. This is my card. That's the front, that's the back. But anyway, I don't understand why y'all are so like, and if you are if your family is indigenous to America and you don't have any African descent, then why doesn't your family have the research of you guys being Native American? That's what I don't understand. Anyway, I just wanted to ask that question. I just keep hearing arguments about, Black American people claiming that they don't have African descent. They're not African. They're just indigenous to America. They never had anything to do with Africa as far as their blood and their history. That's fucking ridiculous. Okay? So, goodbye, Chief Dakisha and Chief DeMarcus. Since y'all all indigenous to America and ain't got no African ancestry. All right, Chief Shaquisha, okay? I'm gonna call y'all Chief Shaquisha. Okay, goodbye.
Let me clear this up. I've been watching some TikTok videos about Black Americans going around claiming that they're the real Native Americans and that the real Native Americans are fake and that they stole our culture. Now you guys, y'all know damn well that is not true. Yes, some of us have Native ancestry. Yes, some Native Americans did enslave Africans. And yes, we all know that history is messy as hell. But we know for sure that this is not true. There's no proof. There's no language. There's no documents. There's no DNA that proves that we were here first. You guys are actually going around erasing Native American culture. Why? To feel rooted in your own? Going around erasing someone else's identity to feel good about our own is not cool. That kind of happened to us. Black people, you guys are beautiful. We are mixed people. We are African. We're European. Some of us have native blood. We are a beautiful mix. There's no need for us to go around trying to erase someone else's identity just to feel good about our own. Know that you are loved, whether you're dark skinned, you're light skinned, whatever you may be. We've been through hella shit. We have. But don't go around here treating other people the same way we got treated. You're loved. Accept that. Be proud of who you are.
People have inherent sovereignty and we retain all of our rights, all of our natural rights, because we were here before colonizers. We were tied to sovereign nations before colonization affected these American lands. We are the original American Indian. Welcome to the Y'all see, in 1924, the state of Virginia passed what became known as the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. This law aggressively enforced racial classifications and empowered state officials like Walter Plecker to reclassify many indigenous people and families into categories such as colored and Negro. But a lot of people don't know that in 1967, the United States Supreme Court decided, Loving v. Virginia, the court struck down laws banning interracial marriage and helped dismantle the legal foundation behind many racial purity laws tied to the 1924 system. That decision became one of the major blows against state-controlled racial identity systems. People from the islands asking me about their indigenous heritage, and come on, y'all know y'all are family. Y'all some of the most pure blood indigenous people that we have on this American continent. Y'all understand me? Listen, Indian to colored, there is no coincidence y'all still got y'all carnival celebrations, y'all carnival culture. Y'all be rocking feathers, all vibrant, all of that stuff. You feel me? Reclaim your... You see, so what we here at American Indian LLC, what we do is we help with status correction back to your indigenous status, okay? We make sure that you're certified with your tribal endorsement and your certificate of genealogy.
For those of you who are interested in starting your status correction process back to your indigenous status, please visit www.americanindianllc.com. All right, this will be the quickest way that you can get your services done and restore what is rightfully yours. All right, this is Chief Yasin. You already know what it is, man. Welcome to the cookout.
The question is, where are you from? If you ask somebody in the US where they're from, like, you know, like, where are you from? Where are your roots from? Most of the time, they're going to tell you something like, I'm from Washington, D.C., I'm from New York, but, you know, I have grandparents who were born in Florida, and so on and so forth.
And the only logical answer to that question would be from the United States, because that's literally where we're from. Like, I'm really confused as to what other answer would you be looking for from a Black American?
Whereas if you ask somebody in Europe, I say Europe, I'm actually in France, but if you ask, it's the same really all across Europe. If you ask somebody in Europe, a Black person where they're from in Europe, they will almost never tell you that they're from, you know, X city. They're not gonna, like, for example, in France, they're not gonna be like, yeah, I'm from Paris, or I'm from Marseille, or I'm from Lyon, or whatever. They're gonna tell you, I'm from Congo, I'm from Cameroon.
And you know why they're gonna tell you that? Because there's something called immigrants in those European countries. So those people who, if you ask them where they're from, they're going to say Congo or Cameroon or some other African nation. They're saying that because they're immigrants, first, second, third, whatever generation, which is not the same as being a Black American. So let's get this straight.
Like, to say bluntly, I don't think that most African Americans realistically know where they are from. And that's not...
Why do so many immigrants think this? Like, we know exactly where we came from. Like, we come from the United States, but why do so many immigrants, especially from the African continent, why do so many of y'all think that the only valid identity is identities that come from the continent of Africa when it pertains to Black people? So if you got brown skin, the only identity that's valid is the African identity, which is the reason why you keep telling us that we don't know who we are, we don't know where we came from, because we don't associate ourselves with no specific country over in Africa. So somehow our identity as Americans just is not valid. It just couldn't be valid. But somehow, though, y'all don't do that to the South Americans, even though our history is very much similar. It's cool to be Brazilian and Colombian and Dominicana and Puerto Rican, but it's not okay to be Black American.
Like, there's a search for identity in the US, like, for in terms of African American. Now, you take that and then you look at Black people in Europe generally, not all. The history is a little bit different there because, again, you're the first person born outside of your nation. You know where you're from. Like, you know where your roots are from. Like, your identity is not necessarily a mystery to you because your parents, like, it's very, very clear where.
Why would I be searching for an identity? Why would I be searching for an alternative identity? Why would I feel like I don't know who I am, or like my identity as a human being or as a Black woman was just some sort of a mystery? Why would I feel like that? When if I live with myself every single day, when I wake up in the morning, I look at myself every single day, and I have never once questioned who I am or what I am. I have never wondered. I have never asked the question, who am I? I don't know who I am. I don't know where I came from. I'm just lost. I just got dropped from the heavens. I got dropped from the space of Mars. I don't know who the fuck I am. No, that's not how it works. Your identity is shaped based off of where you are, where you are born, who you have proximity to, the culture that you came up in. Africa is not the only valid identity for Black people. And that's the thing that y'all need to get through y'all thick ass skulls. Africa is not the only valid identity. People who live outside of it have an identity of their own. And we don't need yours. We don't need you to tell us who we are. We're not looking for sympathy. We're not looking for nothing from you guys. Okay? We just are who we are. You are who you are. Let's respect that. But let's not get it twisted and make it seem like We just are looking to reconnect with some random African countries, African nation, and like we just don't know who the fuck we are. And that's not happening. So miss us with this shit, please.
Anyways, welcome back and thank you so much for joining. Hope you enjoyed all of that clip I was able to roll out for you guys. With that being said, if Native Americans means the indigenous people whose ancestors lived in America before European colonization, such as the Navajo Nation, Cherokee Nation, or the Lakota people, the Black Americans are generally not classified as the native in the history or legal sense. But however, Black Americans are the pure indigenous people, which is linking them to the native of America. However, many Black Americans are native in the United States. In a broader means of word native, because their family have lived in America for generations, often longer than many immigrant groups. Most descendants of enslaved Africans were brought to North America during the transatlantic slave trade between the 1600s and the 1800s. Over centuries, they developed a distinct culture, history, and identity in the United States. Some Black Americans do have indigenous ancestries due to generations of intermarriage and shared community with native tribes. A small amount of Black people were already present in parts of the Americas before the United States exists, including free African sailors and people in Spanish territories. The identity African Americans refer to people whose culture was shaped in America over hundreds of years through slavery, segregation, resilience, religion, music, language, food, and the civil rights struggles. Black American culture has deeply shaped the United States and the world through genres like jazz, blues, hip-hop, gospel music. Some groups and movements argue that Black Americans are the original or true indigenous people of America. Black Americans are generally considered indigenous/Native American people in the official history. So if you are still arguing as at this point and asking yourself, why do Black Americans always identify themselves as Native American? You're so pained by it. You don't want them to identify yourself as that. Then you need to get yourself to another country. You need to get yourself to another country. Because you can tell me that because your parents actually take you to America when you were just 3 years, and before you know, you now have the American accent and you now have the audacity to ask Black Americans who are the indigenous, who are the foundational Black Americans, why they have to tag themselves as Native of America. See, honestly, there are some questions that a lot of people should not even be asking. There are some questions you shouldn't even go into. Not for anything, but just for you not to come make yourself look stupid. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you, liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. If you have any question for me, let me know in the comment section, and I want to hear your own opinion, especially as a foundational Black American. Why do people hate you guys to say Black Americans are the native of the land? I just want to get your own opinion as well. Anyways, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be seeing back and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.